You've told yourself things like, this is just a hard season, or you've said, it's not always going to be like this, to maybe yourself or your spouse. And you've tried to be grateful in this season that you're going through. You've tried to push through, but deep down, you just know that something is not working. You're tired of snapping at your kids, tired of always catching up, tired of never getting a break in, tired of waking up to a home that feels like it's one mess away from all falling apart. And yet you keep surviving because you don't know how to stop. And no one's ever shown you what staying here in survival mode is actually costing you. And today, what I want to do is hold up a mirror, not to shame you or make you feel guilty, but to show you what's really on the line when survival mode becomes your default mode. Because the longer you stay stuck here, the more it starts to steal from you. It steals from your health, it's stealing from your confidence, your relationships, and even your sense of purpose. Not all at once necessarily, like it's not going to happen all at once, but piece by piece and slowly going to unravel over time. And once you see it, you can finally stop settling for it. Welcome to the Modern Homemaker Mom podcast. I'm your host, Jynae Schmidt. If you found yourself here, it means that you're ready to break free from overwhelm, create a peaceful, well-run home, and finally live with more structure, margin, and stability. Here you'll find practical rhythms, real-life systems, and faith-filled encouragement you need to simplify your home and reclaim your time so that you can show up fully for the life God is calling you to. Let's get started. So the invitation that God hands out to us is very clear. And that invitation says rest. We live rushed. We live reactive. We live in survival mode. And what we do is we call all these things normal. Maybe you're up early in the morning, staying up late, running on fumes, not because you want to. Oh, I'm sure you don't want to be doing it that way, but because you don't know how to stop. You don't know how to get out of that cycle. And what the world does is it praises you for pushing through. It says that you're a good mom or you're a good wife because you just keep pushing through. And culture tells us in these times of busy, in these seasons of rush, to be grateful for what we have. Just be grateful for what you have. Just get over it. And while I do believe in counting our blessings, that is very important. That is also besides the point that I'm trying to make here, because culture also tells us to hustle through the hard seasons, to not take breaks, to keep serving, keep smiling, keep giving, even when we ourselves are silently falling apart behind the scenes. And as Christian women, we also add in this big layer of guilt. We call it mom guilt, whatever you want to call it. We think that needing margin, needing rest in the day makes us a selfish person. And I've talked about this before. We think that dreaming of something different or even dreaming of goals, having goals in general, makes us ungrateful. But what nobody is talking about is what this constant state of living in that survival mode, that hustle culture is costing you. Now, what if the very most bestest thing that you could do for yourself today is to acknowledge that everything we've talked about today so far, this hustle culture, this going through the tough seasons as fast as you can go, is not working. Because the longer you pretend that living in survival is okay, the more that you tell yourself, this is fine, this is okay, we're just going to accept this, the more that it begins to chip away at who you are becoming as a wife, as a mother, as a woman in general. And God did not create you for burnout. He didn't design you for chronic stress, for shallow relationships, surface level relationships, and living in this cycle of guilt. He created you to feel at peace, to feel full of purpose, full of joy, and have margin in your day. And when those things feel impossible, like it's never going to happen, that's your key and your clue that something needs to shift. Now, I know that you did not choose to end up here, and maybe as you're listening to me, you're actually reflecting, you're realizing that you're in survival mode, and maybe you didn't realize it all this time. But if you don't choose to get out of survival mode, and I'm going to be honest, this episode is going to be a little bit of tough love, then it's only going to get worse for you. So today, what we're going to go over are 7 ways that staying stuck in survival mode is going to cost you, what it's going to cost you. So the first thing it's going to cost you is your health. You're not just tired, you are putting your body under constant stress. You wake up already drained. You crash by mid-afternoon. You're wired at night. You cannot shut down your brain. What begins as fatigue becomes burnout, chronic stress, brain fog, hormonal imbalance. Maybe I'm saying these things and you're nodding your head because you know that these are things that you are struggling with. And this is your nervous system waving a white flag at your face. It's saying, we can't do this anymore. Like, we are tired and we need to make a change. And the longer that you're going to ignore this, the louder that your body is screaming to you. It's saying, how much longer can you live like this before something gives? I mean, we all know how much of a strain cortisol, which is a stress hormone, does to us. Like the root of most or all disease in the world is often caused by stress. And I'm not a doctor by any means, so don't quote me on that. But I just know that stress is not doing any of us any favors. And I am speaking from experience, as I am someone who has to constantly remind myself to not stress over the little things, to give every single thing, the small things, the big things, and give them up to God. And that's a big topic in and of itself that we won't get into. But going back to my point, like putting ourselves under the constant pressure, the constant stress, the constant strain, all of that is just putting us out of balance, and it's not doing us any favors. Now, the second thing that staying in survival mode is going to cost you is it's going to be straining your relationships. This is the relationships with the people that you love in your life. And survival mode robs you of the margin you need to show up with grace, with patience, with love for those people. You show up distracted instead, irritated, snappy with your spouse, with your kids, maybe even with your friends. And you don't want to be short-tempered. I know that. You're just at maximum capacity and you can't take it anymore. Your social bucket has no space to be filled anymore because there is just so much going on in your life. There's no more margin to give. And when there's no space to breathe, connection dries up. Your marriage suffers. Your kids can feel the tension. Even if you think you're hiding it really good, I know sometimes we try and hide it from our kids. They can still feel it. And now you're starting to wonder why everyone seems so on edge around you. That's because, yes, you are there. You are physically present with your family, with your kids, with your spouse, but emotionally, you are completely checked out. And that's what survival mode is costing you. Now, the third thing that survival mode is costing you is it will distance you from God. And isn't this important? We do not want this to happen. You want quiet time. You crave intimacy with the Lord. But by the time you find a moment, you've fallen asleep because you are so busy running on that hamster wheel. And slowly, without even noticing, you begin to drift. You're drifting out to sea. You're drifting away. Not because you don't believe in God, not because you don't want to include Him in your life, but because your life has no space for the time and the capacity to reflect and to connect with God. And the enemy, he absolutely loves to whisper that guilt into our ear where we should be giving ourselves grace. He is telling you that you are failing spiritually, that you are failing as a child of God. And the truth here is actually that you are just spiritually starving yourself. How long can you go without food in like the real world, real food? How long can we go without actually eating real food? Not super long. And it's the same thing when it comes to our faith. When we start starving ourselves spiritually, that connection with God, that intimate relationship with Him, it dries up. And you know what? I know I said that this is a tough love episode, but I guess the reason there is so much passion in this episode is because I have been in your shoes in all of these areas that we're talking about today. So I know what it's like to be standing exactly where you're at right now. And so I know that specifically on this topic that you miss your time with God, but maybe you just don't know how to reach for Him because your mind never slows down, or you just feel like when you get 5 seconds to breathe alone, the last thing maybe that you're thinking of is to open up your Bible or to spend 5 minutes in a devotional. And that's just a habit that you have to get back into. It's like building a muscle. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to build that habit. You have to be committed and dedicated to it. And over time, that muscle is going to build and become stronger. Now, point number 4 for what it is costing you to stay in survival mode is it's going to push those dreams you have to someday dreams, as I like to call them. Maybe a dream that you have is you want to homeschool your kids. You would love to start a garden with some raised beds in your backyard. Maybe you even want to start your own online business or run an Etsy shop. Or maybe another dream that you have is to care for your aging parents and do it really well. But that dream that you have is something that always seems to be a later dream, a someday dream. Oh, that dream can happen after the dishes, after the toddler phase, after the house is finally under control. But the thing is that that eventually dream, that later dream, that someday dream becomes a never dream. It doesn't happen, not because the dream wasn't given to you by God or because it's not a good dream to have, but because survival mode has stolen that time and margin that is required for you to steward that dream well, to be able to nurture your goals. You might be telling yourself, or you may have found yourself thinking that maybe you weren't made for more. Maybe you just need to accept the fact that what you're doing right now is all you're ever going to do. But that's not the truth. You were just never meant to do more without having margin or time in your day to actually do it. And that is what survival mode is stealing from you. Now, the fifth thing that survival mode is costing you is it will undermine your identity. Every day that you live stuck in chaos, you start to believe that you are the problem, that it's your fault. You tell yourself, I'm not organized, I'm not disciplined, I'm not good at this, I suck at time management. But none of those things are actually true. You are trying to run a home without a system. Now that is the truth. You are trying to steward a family without rhythms that support you in this journey and in this season of your life, because every season of life that we go through is different, and you don't have a framework or a system that's going to properly support you in this time. And the longer that you stay stuck in this cycle, the more you start questioning your worth, and that's a scary place to be. Point number 6, now this is a good one. The sixth thing that is costing you when you're staying stuck in survival mode is it is going to be shaping what your children's normal is. Now, our kids don't just inherit our words or the things that we're telling them. They inherit our patterns, our habits. When our homes run on chaos, they grow up learning that stress and the survival mode we've been talking about is the default. They start to normalize it, that mom is always stretched thin. Mom is always snappy. Mom is never giving her 100% because she's running on fumes. And the peace in a home, the stability in a home that feels life-giving and nurturing is rare. And that's honestly, it's really sad. And I'm not saying any of this. Again, I want to mention, I'm not trying to guilt you or make you feel bad. What I'm trying to do is bring awareness to what being in survival mode is costing you. And so yes, like I have said, we are going over some hard truths that you probably do need to hear. What you want to model, and I know you want to model this, you want to model presence. You want to be the present mom. You want to be the mom that is full of joy, patience. You want to be calm. But survival mode leaves you with no space to disciple when you are feeling like you're in the overflow tank. And that cycle will quietly keep on going, and it's always going to continue unless you put a stop to it. I think something that is important to ask ourselves, a really good question is, what am I passing down to my children without even meaning to, and maybe you don't even realize it? What are my children inheriting from me based on the state that I am currently in? I think that is a very powerful question to ask ourselves. Now let's move on to the seventh and final thing that survival mode is costing you, and that is it will fill your life without fulfilling your life. Let me repeat that. It is going to fill your life without fulfilling it. Every day is full, but no one feels rooted. You're doing everything for everybody that you know, but you're not living. You're just managing, you're cleaning, you're reacting, you're surviving, just trying to get through the day, just trying to get through another day to do the same thing tomorrow. And you find yourself wondering, is this all that there is to life? You were made for more. That's what I'm here to tell you. You were not made to be in this mode, survival mode. But when I say more, I want to be very clear here. I do not mean the hustle kind of more, as in like you need to be doing more. I mean more in the sense of how God would want to see you doing things. So like you don't want to be busy. You don't want to have your schedule full. You want to be more present, more patient, more full of joy. You want your house to be more life-giving. That's what I mean when I say more. Now, if this is making you feel like I am explaining your current situation, if any of the 7 points we went over today, you have thought, she is literally describing me, I want you to know that it does not have to be like this forever. And this is why I created the Modern Homemaker Method course, because the real solution to survival mode isn't more effort. It's not the hustle kind of more, as I just said. It's not another printable. It's not another perfect morning routine that you just haven't gotten yet. It's a framework that actually honors how God designed you to live as a woman. Now, inside this course, I walk you through what I call the 4 seasons framework. And that framework is a simple layered process to help you rebuild your homemaking rhythms in a way that actually supports you in your specific season of life, whatever season that looks like for you. It's not about doing the exact same thing every single day. What it is about doing is learning how to work with your energy, with your capacity, with your calling, instead of working against it. Like when you are in survival mode, we are working against it. So the design of this framework is to work with it. Whether you're navigating with little children, maybe you've got a bunch of toddlers or even a baby, maybe you're pregnant, or maybe you are homeschooling older children, caring for a parent, or you're just longing to breathe again, this framework that my course takes you through will give you a rhythm that moves with you so that you're no longer reacting to your life, you are rooted in it. Now the doors open to the course this fall. The time of this recording, doors are closed, but the wait list where my VIPs are is open right this minute. And when you join on the waitlist, you get early access, an exclusive VIP only discount to the course that I am not offering to anybody else. Only my VIPs get this discount. Now to become a VIP, join my waitlist, my email waitlist. You can go to jynaeschmid.com/waitlist or click the link below in the show notes. One more time, jynaeschmid.com/waitlist to join the list and become a VIP. If this episode stirred something in you, then I know that the course is your very next step. And I am so excited to see you inside and walk you through that new process. Now, to wrap everything up, the key takeaways I want you to walk away with from this episode that we went over today is that staying in survival mode is not just exhausting to you, it's expensive. And it's expensive in the way where it's quietly draining your energy. It's draining your connection with your family, your spiritual life, and the space you need to grow into the woman that God has called you to be. Now, most women don't realize the cost of survival mode until they feel completely emptied out. They feel like there is nothing left to give. They think that they need to try harder, to push through, to be grateful. But the truth is, without real rhythms in place, even your best effort won't create the peace that you're craving. Now, remember, this isn't about doing more. It's about doing things in the way that actually works for your season of life, because survival doesn't stop on its own. Honestly, that's a sad, hard truth, is it's not going to stop on its own. You have to decide that this isn't working for you anymore. And once you make that decision, that is where everything starts to shift. Now, if this conversation stirred something in you, do not keep it to yourself. Send this to another mom who's been surviving quietly too. The one who needs someone to put words to what she's been feeling, to feel seen and heard. And if this podcast has helped you feel less alone in your homemaking journey, please leave me a quick 5-star written review, because this is one of the very best ways that you can help more women, more moms just like you find the show. This really helps my show to continue growing and for me to continue showing up, sharing the content that I share here. I read every single review that comes in. I am so grateful. I'm so blessed for every single one of you that leaves me a review. And I am so grateful that you are here, tuned into me, listening to me share what I share here. I'll see you next week for another episode, same time, same place. Did something in today's episode encourage you? If it did, would you take a minute to hit subscribe and leave a quick review? It's such a simple way to support this show and help other homemakers find this encouragement as well. And if you're looking for even more support in your homemaking journey, come join our free Facebook group. Just head over to bit.ly/homeroutines. Thanks for tuning in today. I'll see you in the next episode.